Hello guys, what is up? This is the Big Show on NYC and I'm here with
MJ Storm 21 here.
and we're going to be doing a little playoff predictions type of video. I mean, we're not going to do too much crazy ass editing or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to try to get it to you as soon as possible, hopefully on the day of the playoffs. And I want you guys to all, leave your predictions down below. But we're going to be starting off with the predictions. Before we do start off, Michael does want to start off with something else. What do you want to start off with?
Just giving our brief opinion and a rating of 1 to 10 of the regular season as a whole for the NBA. I think that would be good. Start off with.
Yep. Alright, so, I mean, honestly, this regular season was kind of bleh. If you, unless you were a Western Conference fan of, like, any team whatsoever, if they're a winning team or whatever, you were probably not a big fan of the NBA this season. Like, honestly, if you look at it all together, you had tons and tons of tanking teams. You had lots of injuries. You had players who used to be relevant, not relevant anymore due to injuries or due to just, not getting enough playing time or, just all in all kind of just being old and irrelevant in general. And, honestly, I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. I don't know, just this season in the NBA, I wasn't too into it, especially since I was a Knicks fan. I mean, I am a Knicks fan, and being a Knicks fan, it was just disastrous. And overall, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of a big kick in the face, since I love the NBA. It's my favorite sport. Basketball is my favorite sport to watch and play. It was just not fun to watch, and it was just painful to watch, actually. It was, like, really painful, and just seeing so many teams tank, more than ever tanking, and the 76ers losing, like, 26 in a row, that was brutal.
Yeah.
That was absolutely brutal, and I really did not like to see that. I really didn't like how they traded away everybody. I know you're tanking, but they took tanking to a whole entire different level. I'm pretty sure
And still didn't succeed.
in having the worst record. I mean, honestly, it is the lottery. The lottery, it's probably rigged, but usually the worst team does not end up winning the lottery, even though they have the best chance. But we'll see who wins it. I think Lakers or Boston will win it, but yeah, 5 out of 10, I'd give it.
Alright. I mean, this season was kind of the comeback season, because you had Derrick Rose coming back, you had Kobe Bryant coming back. From there, massive injuries. Derrick Rose, of course, being a flop, which I was surprised because I had him. I was really looking forward to him coming back and seeing that Chicago team with Rose now. And then Kobe tried coming back like Rose, just re-injured himself, and it was kind of the fall of the Lakers. And it was, I guess, the first time in the NBA that the Lakers, Knicks, and the Celtics have all missed the playoffs. It's crazy to think that it's happened now, and I guess the Lakers and Celtics had the combined worst overall winning percentage in the NBA for those two teams. So, in that consideration and all the tanking, yeah, it was bad. But there's actually a few good stories. You got to see Dallas, a team that comes out of nowhere. They almost have a 50-win season. Phoenix, everybody thought they were going to tank, almost a 50-win season. You have Portland, who came out of nowhere, 54 wins on the season. The West was really, if you like Ellie said, if you were a West fan, this was a really good year for you, in my opinion, unless you're a Lakers fan. It was really good because, I mean, you have your teams who want to tank, and Sacramento just being a crappy team with the talent they have. I don't know how that works, but I mean, you have the downfalls like the Sacramento and Detroit, who has a lot of talent on their team, but failed to get the wins out. So that was, you had kind of fails and highs for the East and the West, but the West was definitely much better than the East. So yeah, I would give the season a 6 out of 10 when I actually looked at it and actually kind of paid attention and remember what happened throughout the year. I was thinking it was a 3 out of 10, a really bad year. More you think about it, the more that you had a lot of actually interesting stories, like Toronto in the East, like Charlotte in the East coming out, Indiana with their huge downfall, Miami with his struggling, Joakim Noah emerging as an MVP caliber player. So yeah, I think it wasn't the best year, but if you actually look at the whole season, there were a lot of good stories for this season. So
Definitely. I was like, it would have been a lot better if the Suns did end up making it. The Suns, predicted to be like probably the third worst team in the NBA, be like preseason predictions, or even the second
Yeah.
worst. And then they end up being this amazing team, the best fast break team, debatably under the Clippers, and just they're just amazing. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Jeff Hornacek out of nowhere, like bringing this team to being one of the best teams, and then they sadly did end up slipping, and just being not the greatest road team ever fucked them over, and that's the upsetting part of that. But hey, I mean, the Suns are kind of still a story to me, honestly. And it was
Oh
really
yeah.
admirable to see like that type of a team, and I'm really hyped to see what they can do, or if they may screw up. I don't know, but with these type of players that they do have, like it was really surprising to see how well they were playing. But
Oh yeah.
anyways, I think it's time to go on to the predictions. So
Yep.
first off, we're going to be starting off with the Eastern Conference. We're not going to be dividing it between by the time the second round starts, semifinals start, and all that. We're just going to go breeze through the East and then breeze through the West right after. So, you want to start off?
Sure. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the number one seeded Indiana Pacers versus the 8th seeded Atlanta Hawks. Now the Pacers, they were actually at the top of the food chain. They were the best team in the NBA, I believe. Only team that I could think maybe was better than them at that time was Oklahoma City, but I believe it was after the All-Star break where they kind of went downhill just really quickly. Dropped a lot of games, a lot of meaningful games. Chemistry wasn't working. Roy Hibbert getting a lot of slack at him, being compared to Kwame Brown. I was seeing tweets of that. So, I mean, and, especially with the Evan Turner trade also that they made on the deadline, didn't help them chemistry-wise. So, we don't know how this team is going to do throughout the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see. But everybody wants to see that Indiana team that we saw last year in that series against Miami. And if we don't, most people are going to be disappointed. But that's pretty much the short spiel about the Pacers. While the Atlanta Hawks, they lost their top guy, their franchise player, Al Horford, pretty early to an injury that he's been dealing with a lot throughout his career. I believe it was a knee or a foot injury. I do not know at the top of my head, but he was out for the season for that, and thank goodness that they signed free agent Paul Millsap to take this team over, or else they probably would have been tanking too. Paul Millsap takes over this team. Kyle Korver has his crazy plus 100 game 3-point shooting streak, whatever it was, at least making 1 3 every single game. But all in all, these teams going against each other, I believe they split 2-2, or
Yep.
Hawks
2-2.
were up 2-1, something like that.
2-2.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really base much off that. But to me, it's really, really rare when an 8 seed beats a number 1 seed. I don't think the Hawks had that type of, determination. We've always seen the Atlanta Hawks make the playoffs, but they just don't do anything. The farthest they get is the semifinals, and just I've never really seen the Hawks have, those heart type of players and not really want to win it. That's always been my problem with the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm going to take Indiana in 5 games. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes to 7 series. And I would be a little surprised if the Hawks upset, just because the Pacers struggle. So, yeah. You can go on. Hello?
Fucking mom. Okay.
Just
Alright.
cut that.
Yeah, so you kind of covered up everything that was kind of, going to be said by me. I mean, Pacers, they're kind of a disaster coming into the second half of the season, to be honest. They had a very good start, and they kind of screwed up later on. I don't know whether, something went on or if it's Evan Turner. If you actually look into it, the Pacers have an actual plus whenever Danny Granger was on the court, and they have a really big minus whenever Evan Turner's on the court.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
It's like a plus, plus like 76 whenever Danny Grainger is on the court, and it's like a minus 50 something whenever Evan Turner's on the court. It's a really big difference, and it depends really. Danny Grainger did have more games played than Evan Turner did. Actually no, I don't think so since he was injured, but yeah, scrap that. But yeah, like Evan Turner, I don't know. Maybe he's making the team worse. I have no idea. But people thought, hey, Evan Turner, he's a great player. He averaged 17 points per game on the 76ers. But the thing is, I don't think he's great off the bench. I don't think he's really the greatest player to come off the bench, debatably. And that can screw up the Pacers, in my opinion. Then you have inconsistency from Paul George, inconsistency from Roy Hibbert. You can have Roy Hibbert having an amazing game, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks, and then have a game from him having like 2 points, 3 rebounds, and like a block. Like you don't know what you don't know what you're going to see out of him. You can have very good games, you can have really bad games. The Pacers are an average team on the road. They're very good at home, but not as good in the second half of the season. And they're kind of lucky that they're versing Atlanta in a sense, because if they're versing like Charlotte, I can see Charlotte upsetting them, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Because Al Jefferson is a very dominant center, and I think he can light up Roy Hibbert if he felt like it. And without Al Horford, I highly doubt that the Hawks have what it takes to take down this Pacers team. So I'm going to agree with Michael and say this game's going to go into 5 in the Pacers' favor.
All right. The next one is going to be the number 2 Miami Heat versus the number 7 Charlotte Bobcats. You can start us off with this one.
Okay, so the Heat, obviously, Dwayne Wade's the biggest question mark. They had a good season, but obviously they didn't have their giant winning streak from last year. They didn't have the greatest pieces this year that really turned up last year. Injuries were kind of big on this year. I mean, the Heat weren't really focusing too much on getting that first seed as I thought they would be. That's why in my fantasy, this is kind of irrelevant, but I did pick LeBron James over Kevin Durant for the sole fact that I thought LeBron James would go Cleveland mode, in a sense, because I knew Dwayne Wade was going to be injured. I knew he was going to miss a lot of games, but I didn't think that LeBron James would, like LeBron James, he didn't take the initiative to score as much. He still played like he normally would on the Heat. He didn't go Cleveland mode, as in like score like 50 points a game. That's kind of exaggerating, but I really thought he would go for that. But instead he was going for really high field goal percentage, which is still admirable, but he's kind of looking at the stats. And he didn't take the initiative to score. And I think if he wants to survive throughout this playoffs, LeBron James is going to have to really, really turn it up a notch and really have to take more shots, have to go in the paint more, and just overall just shoot more. Because if Dwayne Wade's not going to be there and nobody else other than Chris Bosh is going to want to score, then he's going to have to score a lot more. And obviously it's the Heat, and they've pretty much, I'm pretty sure they swept the Bobcats in the regular season 4-0. So yeah, with that factor, I'd say the Heat are going to win in 5. But, they could have, I don't know, if they versed, like, a different team, in a sense, maybe the Nets, then, who knows what's going to happen. But, yeah, I'd say Heat in 5.
All right. Little fact, the Charlotte team as a whole Charlotte Bobcats, I would say, has not beaten the Big Three yet. I believe they're 0-8 against them. So it's not only just the sweep, but they just haven't been able to beat them at all. You kind of cover up most things. You kind of touched up a little bit on the whole Dwayne Wade injury. I would like to touch more on that, just saying Miami goes as far as Dwayne Wade's health goes. If he's going to be out for a majority of these games, they're not going to be a factor. They can easily get knocked off by Brooklyn or even Chicago or Indiana if Indiana gets their groove together and starts actually playing the way they were doing in the first half of the year. This should be a easy series for the Miami, though, because they should just do what you said and just feed the ball LeBron. Charlotte, I'm pretty sure, doesn't have anybody to stop LeBron at all, and you could just win quick 4 games and get it out of the way. Or you could conserve LeBron. You could be cocky and think you don't really need LeBron, dominating the game. Just play your regular style basketball. Play like this has been the regular season, because I don't think we've seen the true Miami Heat at all this year. My dad's always said that the Miami Heat are doing what Chicago Bulls used to do, where they kind of just didn't really try in the first three quarters. Michael Jordan's team, of course, with Scottie Pippen, all of them. But once it was the fourth quarter, they started actually playing those final 12 minutes basketball, and they just crushed everybody. So that's what he's comparing the Miami Heat to. So we'll see them. I believe we'll see the Miami Heat that are expecting to. But I don't think it's going to be in this series. I think it's going to be in the next. I think they're just going to hide it more, let more teams have to figure out different ways to play them. Because, I'm pretty sure these teams are always changing up plays and all that good stuff. And I don't think Charlotte's going to be able to knock a game off of Miami. So I'm going to have Miami sweeping them 4-0. Get those brooms out.
All right. Well said. You want to take over the next one, Brooklyn versus Raptors?
Yeah, we have the number 3 Toronto Raptors versus the number 6 Brooklyn Nets. To me, this is the hardest first round series to predict. I've been back and forth on this ever since I saw it, going with the Raptors, going with the Nets, going with the Raptors, going with the Nets, because I'm pretty sure Toronto actually dominated Brooklyn in the regular season. Try not to count, Toronto with Rudy Gay. I'm not trying to count this, the start where Brooklyn didn't really have, they weren't really Brooklyn, the team that they are now. They had a really, really slow first start of the season. This is going to be a really good series, though, in my opinion. I have Brooklyn winning in 7. I could definitely see Toronto easily winning this series, though. But I think it just goes more to Brooklyn and their whole team just has so much playoff knowledge and just knows what to do. While Toronto, I'm pretty sure this is DeMar DeRozan's second time coming in. I think this is Kyle Lowry's maybe second time coming in. Maybe he came into the playoffs with Houston before. This Valanciunas this is his first time. Amir Johnson, I want to say that's his first time. Terrence Ross's first time. Those notable guys that I'm thinking, I might have missed a Toronto guy at the top of my head right now. I don't know. Correct me if I did. But I think Toronto just lacks playoff knowledge, and I think that's why they're going to lose this series. But that doesn't stop them from winning this series at all. That's just, I'm just giving Brooklyn a little edge, which I think is, just going to get them over Toronto. But I believe Toronto is actually, I saw a stat or I heard a stat, Toronto's top 10 in offense and defensive efficiency. The only other 2 teams I think are in there is San Antonio and Oklahoma City. So we'll see if that kicks into the first round against the Brooklyn. I don't know, but I have Brooklyn in 7. But, this is a coin toss, in my opinion.
Yeah, you kind of covered up everything. Nets have all the experience compared to compared to the Raptors, who have pretty much no experience whatsoever. You have players like Joe Johnson, who have been in the playoffs tons of times. He was on the Hawks, but he still has the playoff knowledge. You have Paul Pierce, who's won a championship. Kevin Garnett won a championship. You got all these players. You got Jason Kidd, who's won 2, I believe. They have so much knowledge and just so much they're a very, very, well-mattered team that, I feel like they can go far. Who knows? But I have the Nets winning in 6, but obviously, like you said, it can go 7 games, it can go in the Raptors in 7, it can go Raptors in 6 even. But who knows? Brooklyn really did, switch up their manners, and the Raptors are a really good team, but I can see Brooklyn winning this in 6, but, obviously it can go either way. And then finally, to cover up the first round of the Eastern Conference, we got the Chicago Bulls going against the Washington Wizards. I'm pretty sure the Chicago Bulls are the 4th seed and the Wizards are the 5th seed. And
Yep.
I got Chicago winning this one in 6. Just because, I don't know, Chicago has been an amazing team since the second half has begun, just like the Brooklyn Nets. And the Bulls have pretty much been really good. Now, obviously, it really depends on the firepower. Their offense is a big question mark. Their defense is not a question mark, obviously. They have Joakim Noah, who can take the initiative on the defensive end. More than likely going to be the defensive player of the year. Obviously there are some other players and the other candidates, but in my opinion, he's definitely the defensive player of the year. But Chicago, amazing defense. I'm pretty sure they're the second best defensive team statistically under the Pacers. And, you can obviously tell because they do not allow other teams to score. The Wizards have John Wall, Bradley Beal, Nene. They have all these good players, but can they really get around? Wait, what?
Gortat.
And Gortat, really underrated player. The Polish Hammer is not someone you got to fuck with, but he is going to be defended by Joakim Noah, so you got to put that in a factor. The Wizards are such a great offensive team that it may cause the Bulls to go into the 7 games, but in my opinion, I don't think Wizards can beat the Bulls because defense does win games. I'm not going to say that, it's just because of defense they're going to win a championship right now because they don't have any offense whatsoever. But they can have players like DJ Augustine, Kirk Heinrich, Tony Snell even, Taj Gibson coming off the, certain players coming off the bench just to help out the team offensively. And that's pretty much been working for them. And honestly, I'll take the Bulls in 6, but the Wizards may give them trouble. Who knows?
All right. This series, East-wise, in terms of first round, this series I'm really, really looking forward to. I think it's going to be an awesome series. You kind of talked about a majority of the stuff, I would say. But again, it comes to Toronto and, the Brooklyn series. Lack of talent and a lot of more lack of knowledge and a lot of knowledge. Washington lacks a lot of knowledge in the playoffs. I think the only main big player that's, been through the playoffs is Nene. I mean, you also have Trevor Ariza if you want to take him account for. Gortat when he was a backup for Orlando. But that's really it. John Wall's never made the playoffs. Bradley Beal's never made the playoffs. Well, you have Chicago, who all those guys have made the playoffs multiple times and gone through multiple rounds. Joakim Noah, I would agree with you, is the defensive player of the year, and he's going to make sure that they don't slouch at all this series. I have Bulls winning in 5. I had it at 6, but I'm changing it to 5 because I just think that they're going to be able to dominate the Wizards. I just don't think the Wizards are going to be ready yet. If they went against a team like Toronto, maybe they would have the upper hand, or even a team like Brooklyn, or maybe Brooklyn just wouldn't be able to keep up with them offensive-wise, in my opinion. But I think Chicago, they're going to figure out a defense that's just going to lock them down. I really hope Washington gets a new coach. Randy Whitman, I do not like him. Really unknown, and I don't think he's been successful this year despite making all the way to the 5th. I think this Wizards team could have been better despite the injuries, but I'm going to go with Chicago in 5.
Randy Whitman, I've never even heard of him. Okay. Okay, well, let's go off to the second round / the semifinals, whatever you want to call it, and you can start that off.
All right, so for me, it's going to be the first seed Indiana Pacers against the 4th seed Chicago Bulls. This series, to me, is not going to be close. This is one of my bold predictions. I have Chicago winning in 4. I have them sweeping Indiana. I think despite Indiana winning in 5 games over the Hawks, aren't going to get their mojo back. I don't think they're going to be able to figure stuff out. And I think the Chicago Bulls are going to take advantage of that and just eat them alive with their offensive issues. It's going to be a defensive series. I don't think it's going to be the most watched series because people don't really like defense. They like offense. They like alley-oops and all that stuff. But it's definitely, I think this is going to be one-sided. I have the Chicago winning in 4. I think Joakim Noah and Boozer and Taj Gibson is just going to dominate Roy Hibbert, David West, and Andrew Bynum if he even plays in the semifinals. So yeah, bold prediction: Chicago sweeps.
Wow, I was not expecting that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have this being a one-sided battle. I don't know why you are. I can kind of see, but I don't know. Chicago is a very good team, but I don't know. I think Pacers have more of the offensive mindset than the Bulls do. And I'm going to have the Pacers, although I say they're very overrated, I'm going to have them beating the Bulls in 7. Now, I can see the Bulls winning in 7. I can see the Bulls possibly even winning in 6. I cannot see them winning in 5, and I cannot see them sweeping at all. I can't see the Pacers sweeping, and I can't see them winning in 5 either. I see this being a very close series, a defensive battle nonetheless, and I do see the Pacers going to the Eastern Conference Finals once again.
Ew. All right. Next one is, I think for both of us, you had Brooklyn winning, right?
Yep.
So both of us have the number 2 Miami Heat versus the number 6 Brooklyn Nets. You can start us off.
Okay, so the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets, the Nets swept the Heat in the regular season. Now that may cause people to say, the Nets can beat the Heat. They can. They very well can beat the Heat. But, as Michael has said previously, we have not seen the real Heat play until possibly the playoffs. A lot of the times, they don't turn up until the playoffs. And depending on Dwayne Wade's health, will be the dependent on whether they can go to the finals again, or even go further on into the playoffs in general. And depending on Dwayne Wade's health, I'm going to say that Dwayne Wade's probably going to play most of the games in the semifinals. Now, that's a bold prediction of mine, because you don't know anything that can happen with Dwayne Wade on his knees. He can just give out, and they can get cocky and say, hey, we don't need Dwayne Wade for one of the games. But at the same time, they probably are very well aware that the Nets have beat them 4-0, so they kind of do have to play Dwayne Wade for most of the games. And for that reason, I say that the Heat are going to really, really put it up a notch and beat them in 7. But the Nets very well can take the series themselves.
All right. Heat in 7. I don't think the Nets are going to be able to compete with the Heat. I think they're going to be able to, windle them down. I think that's the right word for it. Get them tired for the Eastern Conference in the finals if the Heat would advance to that range. But I think Brooklyn knows how to play Miami. But like I've said and how you commented, I don't think we've seen the real Miami Heat play, and I don't think we will until the semifinals. Now, I don't even think we're going to see them against the Bobcats until the semifinals. And I think the Heat are going to turn it up. I don't know how many games Dwayne Wade plays. I don't think it's going to matter. I think LeBron's going to turn it up. I think he's just going to dominate guys like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, who might be guarding him, freaking Joe Johnson, whoever's defending LeBron, or Karolinko, whoever's defending LeBron. I think he's just going to dominate. If Chris Bosh can stay healthy, this should be an easy series for the Heat. I'm going to have them winning 6. Of course, you have to give some games to Brooklyn because they did sweep them. But I think the Heat should have no. I don't think it should be like Brooklyn up 3-1, 3-2. It shouldn't get to that point. They should be dominating the series the whole time, in my opinion.
So, in how many games are you saying?
Heat in 6.
Okay.
So.
That covers up the semifinals, and we can go off to the Eastern Conference Finals, where you have the Heat versus the Bulls.
Yep.
And I have the Heat versus the Pacers. So this may be something crazy. What are you going to predict?
I have the Heat in 5. I know I've hyped up the Bulls saying they would sweep, and now they're going to lose in 5 games. But here's why. I'm not going to say that those 4 games are going to be easy. I think those 4 games are going to be really hard for Chicago. And like I said numerous times, we have not seen the real Miami Heat. Yes, Joakim Noah is a big factor. Yes, Chicago has beat the Heat a couple of times, I believe, this season. I believe they've split it. I know they've at least won 1 game in overtime. But to me, regular season won't really matter between these two teams. Chicago, they don't have Derrick Rose. They don't have the offensive power that they need just yet. I think Miami should be able to have the series won, but it's going to be one of the hardest earned 5 games in 5. You'll see, but I have Miami in 5 going to the NBA Finals.
All right. Well, I guess we have the same exact factor because, as I've said, the Eastern Conference is so weak. I really wish that the Pacers weren't such a fucking overrated team. Being the first seed, really, they're not a pushover. I say the Heat are going to win in 6. Now, the reason why I say the Heat are even going to lose 2 games is because I'm pretty sure they're going to win 1 at home, just because they have the home with them. Pacers have pretty much always had the home with them, and at least I think they can at least beat them with 1 game at home. They can shut down the Heat, beat them by 20 points for one of the games. But I say Heat are going to win in 6. Pretty much the Heat they've dominated the Pacers before, dominated them last year, even though it went to 7 games. And I'm pretty sure LeBron will dominate Paul George. I mean, Paul George may dominate LeBron for 1 game, but I just don't believe the Pacers can even beat the Heat again. So, Heat in 6, and the Heat are going to the finals once freaking again.
Ew.
I know.
All right.
It's gross.
So now we're going to be going to the West. And it's going to be the number 1 seeded San Antonio Spurs, the best team in the NBA, record-wise, versus the number 8 Dallas Mavericks. I'll let you touch upon this.
Okay, so the Spurs have once again been forgotten. Once again, we're doubted. Once again, we're thought to be, at best, 52 wins for the season. They had 63 wins, I believe. 63 wins for being the best team in the NBA. 63 wins in a Western Conference. As a Western Conference team, the Heat couldn't do that this year. The Pacers couldn't do that this year. The Spurs did in the Western Conference. The Spurs have dominated the NBA once again. And, the Spurs have doubted once again. They just don't seem to get any worse. They have Marco Bellinelli coming off the bench. Once I saw that the Spurs signed Marco Bellinelli, I already knew he was going to be just one of the biggest factors on the team. He was such a big factor on the Bulls last year, and just having another foreign person on the freaking Spurs, he's going to be amazing. And he's been really, really good on the Spurs coming off the bench. Danny Green, very good defensive player. Kawhi Leonard, he's progressing, still really good. Who knows how well he's going to do in the playoffs this year. And just, the Mavericks, they're a good team. And I really give it to them that they did end up making the playoffs. I kind of doubted them. I really thought that they weren't really going to be too good of a team. They had Monte Ellis and stuff. Monte Ellis has been a good player. And overall, they have the Matrix. They have Dallenberg, for God's sake. He's been pretty good. And Dirk Nowitzki, obviously, just one of the best players in the NBA. He doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. He's so good. He just always has an efficient season, and whenever he's healthy, and you really got to give him credit, so much credit. Just Dirk, amazing player, but obviously they're not going to be able to challenge the Spurs whatsoever. The Spurs, I'll give mercy to the Mavericks and say the Spurs are going to beat them in 5, but very well, more than likely they are going to sweep them.
All right, I'm going to agree with you. I have Spurs in 5. You kind of touched on the majority of the stuff. Even letting your inner Skip Bayless come out of nowhere, saying how Marco Bellinelli was a huge signing, as Skip Bayless was raving about that, but that's besides the point.
I don't even listen to Skip Bayless, so I didn't even know that, but yeah.
But yeah, Dallas, they were one of the teams trying to get LeBron. Didn't end up happening. They've had this money, and they go ahead and sign Monte Ellis. Or no, they failed with LeBron a few years back. Dwight Howard, they tried getting, failed. They had all this money. They just throw it at Monte Ellis, Jose Calderon, Samuel Dallenberg. This team just somehow gets 49 wins. Huge, or big props to Rick Carlisle. I believe that's his name, yeah, for getting this team so far and, barely making the playoffs still. Just a great season for Dallas and, just under the radar, that sort of thing. But it's the Spurs. I believe that they're just going to have an easy time with this series. I don't think Dirk's going to let it be a sweep like he did when they got swept by Oklahoma City. I think they'll be able to get one game because it's going to be it's not going to be, a back and forth running like, OKC usually does. It's going to be a slow paced game. So I think Dallas can, and, Dallas will thrive on that and they'll be able to win a game, maybe 2. But I have Spurs winning in 5 like you. So, the next series that we have is the number 2 Thunder versus the number 7 Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have had their number on the Thunder. Last year they upset them to get to the finals. Of course, no Russell Westbrook. And then I don't know if it's the year before or the year before that where they took the Oklahoma City Thunder to 7 games. I don't remember if that was I think it was the semifinals when they upset San Antonio. So. This is a kind of starting to be. This has become a pretty big rivalry. Now, of course, Memphis does not have Rudy Gay this season, and they don't have Ryan Hollins, and they kind of slipped up. They fell down to 7th. I kind of expected them to slip up, I expected them preseason, make maybe the seventh or eighth, which they did. I don't. I think this is going to be a hard-nosed game. I think the Grizzlies' big men are going to be able to dominate the Thunder big men, but I don't think the Grizzlies have anybody to stop Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook. And I'm going to have the Thunder winning in 6.
All right. Well, I pretty much agree with you on every single thing. You know, Memphis has had their ups on OKC before. I've seen them beat them in regular season. I've seen them beat them in the playoffs. But the Grizzlies, I don't know. I'm not really big on them this year. They had a really bad start. They really turned it around. They're kind of under the radar turning around as well. I didn't even know that they were really doing too well, but they were. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them. I've never been a fan of them. They're kind of just that boring team, in my opinion, that kind of has no potential, in my opinion. They have really no crazy young players who are going to be very good in the future. They don't have too many oldies that really are really old and stuff. They're kind of all they have all these players I wouldn't really say in their prime, but kind of either a little past their prime or kind of a little before their prime. Mike Conley's pretty much their best player. Him and Marc Gasol, they're the best players. But Marc Gasol is very good defensively, at least. He can have the offensive repertoire as well. Mike Conley's good, but obviously we're comparing them to the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, and that's not really the greatest comparison ever. So I'll say OKC wins in 6, just like you, and I wouldn't be surprised if OKC won in 5 or even swept, but just for past experiences, I'd say OKC in 6.
All right. Now the next series is the number 3 Clippers versus the number 6 Golden State Warriors. I'll let you start that off.
Even though you love the fucking Clippers. Okay, so you can't doubt the Warriors ever. They dominated the Nuggets last year as a 6 seed.
Our NBA final, or our Western Conference Finals picks last year.
I said they're going to the fucking finals. The Nuggets. I said the Nuggets are going to the finals. Okay, well, I learned my lesson that just because you have a very good home record does not mean that you're going to go all the way to the damn finals. Because once this playoffs start, home court advantage is based off of the crowd, and not just you randomly doing very well in the freaking at home like the Nuggets did last year. And the Warriors are a very good home team. They have a very great crowd. I think they had the best atmosphere last year. Such a great atmosphere. I really loved watching them play. I really loved seeing how great the crowd was reacting. Now, the biggest problem is I don't know how healthy Bogut is. Is Bogut healthy? He's not, right?
I believe he's missing the first round.
There you go. He's missing the first round. So you're going to have DeAndre Jordan destroying everything in the paint without a big man trying to stop him. And you've seen the Golden State Warriors and how they react without Andrew Bogut. They had Jermaine O'Neal playing center, and he played pretty well. I'm not going to doubt him. And last year they had to deal with Andres Biedrins playing instead of him. So I'm not saying anything bad about Jermaine O'Neal, and he's a lot better than Andres Biedrins, for God's sake. But I don't know. Just Bogut is one of the best defensive players in the NBA. He's a very big man. He's just he has his way around things, and I know he played last year in the first round, which is a really big factor. But without him, I really don't see the Warriors being able to top the Clippers. The Clippers have just the best scoring team I've probably seen in a very long time. You have Chris Paul playing the point. You have Blake Griffin, who's been astounding this year. Absolutely astounding. He's really improved. He can hit free throws consistently. He can hit jump shots every now and then, a lot better than he has before. He's really improved. I'm really proud of Blake Griffin, honestly. I've always liked him, honestly. I don't know. People always say he's overrated, all he can do is dunk. No, I don't agree with that, because if you actually watch him play, he can hit jump shots. He can hit free throws. He can do things that people say he can't because they don't watch him play. They think all he does is do layups and dunk. Well, Sure, a lot of his finds and a lot of his points do come from that, but not all of them. I'd say about half their points come from layups and dunks, which is what a lot of players do. I mean, probably LeBron, most of his points come in the paint as well, but you don't see people saying, he lacks the offensive ability. He's going for like the high field goal percentage shots, and that's what Blake Griffin obviously does. He's strong and he can get his way in the paint. But he can also step back for a 17, 18-foot jumper, even farther than that. He can shoot a three, for God's sakes. So we got Blake Griffin. You got DeAndre Jordan, who's just been amazing this year, and him or Joko Noah are the biggest candidates for Defensive Player of the Year. And if either one of them wins it, they really do deserve it, because DeAndre Jordan's just been monstering this year. And I think that's really going to overpower the Warriors. And you got Andre Iguodala, you got Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, but they live by the three and they die by the three. And obviously the Clippers don't have the greatest defense, but nor do the Warriors. So this is going to be an offensive shootout like all the games that they've played together, and it's really going to be something to watch. And I'm really, really psyched to watch it. But I have the Clippers winning in 7 games.
Wow, so you have Golden State taking them all the way down to 7 games.
Yeah, you probably have them like 6.
So, my preseason prediction was Chicago versus Los Angeles, because the Los Angeles Clippers moves that they made this offseason were ridiculous. They got rid of Eric Bledsoe, which is what they needed to do, because he was going to want out a big contract, and, he kind of just... It's talent on a team that isn't necessary. It's unnecessary talent that you could get something else that you need. They got rid of him, and what did they get in return? The best player to complement Chris Paul in J.J. Redick. He's going to take so much pressure off for Chris Paul in this playoffs if he's healthy. That's going to be the biggest thing, is if J.J. Redick's healthy. Because if J.J. Redick gets hurt again, I can see the Clippers getting knocked out in the first round again. But the offseason moves that they made, signing Darren Collison, getting Doc Rivers as their head coach, getting J.J. Redick, those weren't the only things that they did. This season, they signed Danny Granger, Glenn Davis, Hedo Turkoglu, with getting like half the Orlando Magic team on their side. But this, as you said, this has been in my opinion, this has been one of the best offenses I have seen in my entire watching basketball in my life, which was at 06-07 when I started. I've never seen, or at least they have the potential. I've never seen a team with such potential just consistently get 130 points a game. I feel like that's their potential. Of course, they don't do it, but I think this is going to be the playoffs. They really got to kick it up a notch. And this is going to be, hopefully, the time for them to shine. They cannot be knocked out of the first round again, because I believe they've been knocked out the past 2 times. Doc Rivers will not allow that. Chris Paul will not allow that again. And what you talked about Blake Griffin, and Blake Griffin has shocked me. I thought he was going to didn't think he was going to progress as much as he has this year. He's been an amazing player for them, which even raised my expectations for the Clippers offense even higher. DeAndre Jordan. I'm getting him mixed up with the Dolphins right end for football. DeAndre Jordan, he's been a rebounding monster. He led the league in rebounds for 13, 14, putting up Dwight Howard type of rebounding numbers. Heck, he beat Kevin Love in rebounding. This Clippers team is so in depth with all their players. They could use 10 guys and they would be okay, because they have so many players on their bench that could just come up and play. And I'm expecting the Clippers to win in 5. I didn't really talk about the Golden State Warriors too much. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Iguodala, yeah. Iguodala signing this free agency this offseason was really good for them. A lot of people had question marks at the start. How would that fit in with Harrison Barnes, David Lee? But all in all, I think the Clippers or the Warriors aren't going to be able to get ahead of the Clippers. I think maybe if you had a team, if they went against a team like Houston or Portland, something like that, then they could get over the hump. But I think they're not going to be able to get over the hump with the Clippers. So I have the Clippers in 5.
Respectable. I respect that. And with this series, I don't see the Golden State Warriors having the upper side. I see that Clippers are pretty much going to be bound to win. And, that's pretty much just how it's going to go. The home court is what's really going to be the thing that gets the Warriors the wins, in my opinion. I know I like home court's overrated and stuff, but just saying just how crazy the crowd was last year, I'm going to say the Oakland crowd is going to go crazy this year too. But that's
Yeah.
aside the story. Next, and the final game of the first round, we got the Houston Rockets versus the Trail Blazers. I just fucked up saying that, but the Trailblazers. Well, you can go off with that. You can start this off.
Okay, well, yeah, the number 4 Houston Rockets against the number 5 Portland Trailblazers. As you were about to say, Portland definitely shocked some people.
Yeah.
They were up in number 1 for the start of the season. Damian Lillard, LaMarcus Aldridge really started hitting it off because their bench started actually producing, which they haven't had for quite some time, and that's what they were pretty much getting out of it. All their starters were doing the same job. Their bench was producing. And that's how it was for Portland. Then they kind of went on a little downhill, not as bad as Indiana did, but a downhill. Ended up making them all the way down to the 5th seed. But Portland, even if they get knocked out in the first round, they did their job. They showed LaMarcus Aldridge that this team has the potential to be really good. They get the bench, they get the pieces off for their bench, and because that's our key thing is they want to keep him, even if they don't have enough money to sign Batum and Matthews if they lose them. Portland's number 1 concern is keeping LaMarcus Aldridge, and then when the time comes, keeping Damian Lillard. That's going to be their number 1, their top 2 concerns. I think they convinced LaMarcus Aldridge into staying to Portland now if they had the money for him for this team going up so high. But talking about Houston, they landed the super, quote-unquote, superstar of the free agency in Dwight Howard, getting him to Houston to play with James Harden, Chandler Parsons, Jeremy Lin, Terrence Jones, who came out of nowhere, Omar Asik, who they couldn't trade away, but now they're starting to play. This Rockets team is mostly offense, no defense. That's kind of been how their whole thing is. James Harden does struggle from time to time. Turns the ball over a lot. Dwight Howard not really being that big-time guy that I think Houston was expecting. I still think Dwight's still nursing that back, and I don't think he's ever going to be the same way he was ever again after that herniated disc to his back surgery-wise. But I'm going to have Houston in 7. I think this is going to be a really good series to watch. It's not going to be my favorite. My favorite's going to be the Clippers and Warriors. Just going to throw that out there. But I think this is going to be a really good series. We're going to be seeing Damian Lillard step up big time. See if he can step up big time in the clutch. I think he should be able to get them a couple wins. That Portland crowd is, like you were saying with the Oracle Arena crowd, I don't remember the court name for Portland Trailblazers. I think it's like the Rose Garden.
Yeah, Rose Garden.
Yeah. So I think their Portland fans are going to be right behind their team. And I think their majority of their wins are going to be, or all of their wins are going to be at home. Because both these teams are really good at home. They have like 33 plus games won at home. But saying that, Houston's really good at home. And I think it's just going to be, 2-2, 1-1-1. Game 7, everybody wins at home. I don't see any road upsets, and I have Houston in 7.
All right. Well, you kind of covered up on everything. Though, Houston is just such a great scoring team, and we saw that last year. They shot like just lights out, and they still do, and they have even better shooters this year. They have a good bench, not as great of a bench as they'd like to, and I think that's a really big factor that they really like to improve on their bench, because they don't have the best scorers coming off the bench. They have an amazing starting lineup, though, and, well, you kind of covered up on everything, really. Dwight Howard, if he's healthy, he'll play, but obviously he's not the same Dwight Howard. Omer Sheik, he can back up Dwight Howard pretty well, nonetheless. And whether Dwight Howard even plays or not, which I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing anyways, I still see Houston ending up winning this. Damian Lillard, LaMarcus Aldridge, Wesley Matthews, Nicholas Batum, good team. But their bench is still lacking. They have Jarrell Wright, they have Mo Williams, and they have Thomas Robinson. That's basically it. And they need more support off the bench. I don't know, I still think that they're kind of weak in certain positions, certain aspects, and they have probably one of the most devoted fans in the NBA, to be honest, because Portland, Oregon. There are no other teams in Oregon other than the Trailblazers. So you got really devoted fans, very committed, and they finally have a really good team. And I hate to say that they're going to lose in the first round, but it's going to happen. Houston, I have predicting to beat the Trailblazers, though. If the Trailblazers end up winning and beating the Houston Rockets, I'd actually be happy. I'd like to see the Trailblazers go far. But I don't see it happening. I'm being realistic over here, and I have the Rockets winning in 6.
All right, so that brings us. Did we predict everything the same, with everybody winning, no upsets in the West first round?
Yep.
All right, so that means our series are both the 1-seeded San Antonio Spurs going against the number 4-seeded Houston Rockets. I'll let you start off with this.
Okay, so Spurs couldn't get enough of Texas, I guess, so they have to go ahead again and verse Houston right after they verse Dallas. So, Texas galore. You got Texas matchups everywhere. So, we got the Spurs versus the Houston Rockets. Up-tempo Houston Rockets team versus the Spurs that, just always end up winning somehow, some way, but are just so good. And this is around the time where everybody's going to start remembering, hey, Tony Parker is a top 3 point guard in the NBA and is one of the best pure point guards the NBA has to offer. They kind of forget this throughout the whole entire year until now. Every single year, they forget that Tony Parker is just amazing, and they forget it until now. And Tony Parker has no one to go against except for Jeremy Lin, and Aaron. No, they traded Aaron Brooks. Cannon or whatever. And Tony Parker's going to pretty much just have his way against the Rockets, in my opinion. James Harden's going to put up a fight, but, you got great defenders in Kawhi Leonard, and you got great defender in Danny Green. So, with that being said, I don't see Houston winning, though I'm making it sound like it's going to be a sweep. I have the Spurs winning in 7. Now, I think the Houston Rockets are really going to tire down the Spurs. They're such an up-tempo team. You got James Harden attacking the paint like 24/7, trying to commit fouls and stuff like that. And, just honestly, I'm not too sure on this, but for some reason I'm confident with the Spurs, and I say they're going to win in 7, but I don't know. I don't know too much on the series, to be honest. That's pretty much just my prediction, though.
All right. Well, I'm just going to throw out there, I have another upset. I have the Houston Rockets beating the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
The San Antonio Spurs got swept by 2 teams this year. One of them, I believe, was Oklahoma City, I want to say. The other was Houston. Houston Rockets swept them 4-0. Or maybe they lost the last game, but I'm pretty sure they swept them 4-0. No matter. The last game was a late game, so it didn't really matter. Anyways, yeah. Houston, I'm pretty sure swept them 4-0. And I think San Antonio is just going to run out of gas a bit earlier despite going against Dallas. I can't see San Antonio going all the way to the finals, beating teams like, right here, Houston, the other team, which is Los Angeles, or, they could probably beat OKC. That would be the one team I would have the edge on them, maybe. But pretty much, yeah, I would say that I just see Houston winning this series as an upset. Of course, it'll more than likely not happen. Predictions are predictions. You try and make up upsets because you think that you look at the stats and you think that's how it's going to go, and that's how I think it's going to go. So, yeah.
Muy interesante. Okay. And then right after that, we got OKC, number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed Clippers. You can go on and take that too.
All right. Kevin Durant the offensive machine, monster, whatever you want to call them, against the offensive freaking masterminds in the Los Angeles Clippers. This comes to say, as weird as odd as this is to say, I don't think OKC has enough firepower to deal with Los Angeles or to keep up with them. Yeah, you have Kevin Durant, but he's not going to score 100 points, okay? Let's just be real. He's not going to score 100 points. He's probably not going to even score 50. Westbrook's not going to be scoring 50. I mean, who else is going to score for them? Jeremy Lamb, Serge Ibaka, Kendrick Perkins is out. Who's going to score for them? That's been my problem with Oklahoma City for the past few years now, ever since they got rid of James Harden. I just haven't liked them because they don't have enough firepower. They don't have an off-the-bench guy like Jamal Crawford, which I never even got into for Los Angeles Clippers.
Sixth man of the year.
Clippers have too much firepower. They won't be able, or the Thunder won't be able to deal with them. I have the Clippers winning in 6. Thunder, I mean, they have Kevin Durant. You have to throw a couple games their way. Throw them a bone. But I have the Clippers winning in 6.
So I guess, OKC fans are going to watch this video and be like, wow, these guys are complete pricks. Because I agree with you. I have the Clippers winning in 6 for the mere fact that, Westbrook, he's probably going to take about 25 shots. And how many is he going to make out of them? Probably 8. Westbrook, I'm not typically... I don't know. I like him, but I don't like him. I
don't like him at all.
I just like... I try liking him. I try liking Westbrook. He can have those games where he's just beasting on every single ad, and he can have those games where he's just a complete fucking lunatic, Ninja Turtle going all over the place without any sort of common sense. Just, Jesus, you gotta relax a bit, dude. You got Kevin Durant as a teammate. You gotta feed him the ball. You can easily average like 15 assists per game if he felt like it, but he doesn't because all he does is shoot and shoot and shoot, and he doesn't make the shots. It's really annoying. He has so much potential. He shoots 23s. You gotta chill with the threes. You can't shoot threes. You gotta just go for other options. You gotta just attack the paint. That's what you gotta do. I know you're like 6'3", but geez, calm down a little bit. And
he does attack the paint.
He does, but not as much as he should. And he should take more mid-range shots other than threes. He should probably only take 2 threes a game at most. And just, I don't know, he just doesn't take the smartest shots. He just has to feed Durant the ball more. And, obviously, as you said, comparing to the Clippers who can shoot who can get 140 points per game if they really felt like it, you're not going to have too much production from the Oklahoma City Thunder as much as you'd like. If they had Kevin Martin, then maybe, just maybe, I'd have them winning just because Kevin Martin's a lot better than Jeremy Lamb. Jeremy Lamb can be something in about 2 to 3 years, but he's not there just yet. And I think they should have played him a little more last year just to give him the kind of NBA sense. But they didn't. They put him in the freaking D-League like stupid people. But, just... honestly, I don't know. The Clippers just crazy. They're absolutely crazy. And honestly, we're praising them a little too much. I feel like we're praising them a little too much. I feel like they may end up losing to Oklahoma City. Maybe they can even lose to the Warriors. But I'm praising the Clippers. Michael's praising the Clippers, and every time I praise a team, I feel like they just fuck up. But I'm praising the Clippers over here, and I had them winning in 6.
I've brainwashed Ellie right now with the Clippers.
Yeah, you have. We had a conversation a few days ago, and you're telling me how this is the best freaking offense. And now that I look at it, it really is. Look at it. It's crazy. You have Jamal Crawford coming off the bench over J.J. Redick. God, this is offense galore, but no defense. The only defensive player you have is DeAndre Jordan, so that's the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem, the defense. And they have no defense except for DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul.
I wonder if Doc Rivers can go sign Mike D'Antoni to assistant manager or assistant coach.
200 points per game. No defense though. It's 200 to 170. It'd be like that. Final score.
Pretty much.
It's yeah, get back on offense. Get back on offense. No, you have to get back on defense, dipshit.
So far, I have the Spurs and Thunder knocked out, and you have the Thunder knocked out. for me, it's the number 3 seeded Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference Finals going against the number 4 seeded Houston Rockets, while you have the number 1 seeded San Antonio Spurs against the number 3 Los Angeles Clippers. You can go start us off on that.
Okay, so people are gonna say Spurs going to the finals again, rematch of the century. Except it's not really the rematch of the century. It's just good rematch. But I feel like Manu Ginobili is going to take a little all-timers trip a little earlier than last year. He's playing for the Clippers this year. So you'd be like, why am I in a different uniform? I remember being on the Heat uniform before, but I'm the Clippers now. Cool, I was traded. Okay. Because remember last year just how bad Manu Ginobili was? He was so bad in the finals. And I think that's going to come a little earlier this year. They're going to run out of gas. They just fought in my bracket, in my predictions at least. They just fought Spurs in 7 games. They're tired. Tony Parker, obviously is going to turn up still. But, yeah, I have the Clippers winning in 6. I don't think they can keep up with the Clippers of the best fast break team in the NBA. Just, I don't know. I don't see the Spurs even standing a chance. I don't even think the Spurs can. I think the Spurs can, at most win in 7, but Clippers, in my opinion, have this in the bag.
All right. Now, for your scenario, I would probably have the Spurs winning because I feel like the Spurs could be that one team that could actually stop the Clippers somehow, or be able to keep up with them. But since it's the Houston Rockets, they don't have any defense either. They won't be able to stop a single guy. Dwight Howard has not been that defensive player, that 3-time defensive player of the year that he once was. I have the Clippers winning in 6. Houston, you beat San Antonio. Congratulations, you got to the NBA Finals, but you're going against the best offense I've seen forever. And I'm not even trying to be biased or anything. I'm not a Clippers fan by all means. Just to let you know, I'm a JJ Redick fan, and I think he's a huge piece to the Clippers. But by no means am I a Clippers fan in itself. I've never really been interested in that team, even with them adding on Chris Paul. I'm not a fan of Blake Griffin. I like DeAndre Jordan, but I just see the talent on this team, and I think it's crazy. I have the Clippers winning in 6 and going to the NBA Finals like you do. Freaking, we're having the same finals again.
Jesus. Except last year was a lot more ironic. Last year was the Nuggets versus the freaking Heat.
And you know what's funny? It's actually the 3 seed again. It's
oh my god! I swear this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. They're going to lose. Clippers are going to lose in the first round, just like the Nuggets did.
No.
It's going to happen. But yeah, we both got the same exact scenarios going on until we see the finals. So you can take off the finals: the Heat versus the Clippers.
All right, so this is going to be a really, really good series. I'm definitely going to try and pay attention to every single minute of this. Pay attention
Homework
to
is going to screw me over and freaking studying for the regions. But other than that, yeah, I'm looking at everything.
Well, you're going to be done with school by that time.
No.
It's in mid-June.
I know. I have freaking regions and everything in mid-June. I'm going to be dying. I don't end school until late June.
Oh, wow.
Rip in peace.
Okay. I thought you ended at late May or something like that. Okay, anyways.
I wish.
Off topic. Heat, number 2 seeded Heat against number 3 Los Angeles Clippers. We've talked about both of these teams a majority of this time. You're going to be seeing matchups like Chris Bosh versus Blake Griffin. That'll be a good one. What'll be really interesting for me is to see who LeBron's guarding. Because he's not going to be guarding Matt Barnes, by all means, I would assume, or Danny Granger when he comes up on the court. I think the best scenario for the Clippers would be, or for the Heat, if you have LeBron guard a guy like Chris Paul or JJ Redick, one of the smaller guys, and just take them out of the game, and that might interfere with the Clippers' offense. But we'll see if they even want to go that way. But if they don't, which I would be surprised if they don't, I'd be surprised if they wouldn't. They'll probably, be able to hold the Clippers down to about 90 points. And then the big question is Clippers defense. How is it going to be? And will they be able to keep up with the Heat if they get their offense turned up? Miami does have one of the best defenses in the game, and it's going to be just a clash of big defense versus big offense. Both these teams are definitely going to be doing their homework on each other, watching tape throughout the playoffs on this team. I would at least assume. But I have the Los Angeles Clippers upsetting the Heat in 6 games. LeBron will lose his 3rd NBA Finals. He will not three-peat. And this will be a great story as Doc Rivers gets traded to the Clippers. His first year of coaching that year, wins a championship, and Chris Paul gets his first championship.
Who do you have as winning the Finals MVP?
Probably Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. I mean, okay. My turn. So how many games did you have? 6?
I have Clippers in 6.
Okay. Miami Heat versus the Clippers. Again, a lot of it depends on Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade, in this predictions, is not going to be alive for a lot of the games. That's
Right.
really dependent on Dwayne Wade. With Dwayne Wade, I think that he can win it. I'm just saying.
Dwayne Wade's going to be on those good drugs, though. Just take that into consideration.
He's going to be on that good drugs and alcohol. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so Dwayne Wade, if healthy, is an amazing defender, even at his age. He's very good, very fast, stuff like that whenever healthy. And with him, I think that he can win it. But in this scenario, I do not have Dwayne Wade being the most healthiest of people in the world and the most consistent players in the world. And with that being said, in my opinion, the Heat shouldn't have won last year. They had that amazing Game 6 game. Both Manu Ginobili, if Manu Ginobili did not exist, and they're playing in the finals, then Spurs would have won in 6. But Manu Ginobili is apparently a human being, so they ended up not winning.
No. Quick thing I want to mention, the Spurs were one of the 5 teams at the trade deadline that were interested in J.J. Redick. Imagine them having J.J. Redick instead of Ginobili in that position.
Then they would have won in 5. If healthy, yeah. But Manu fucked them over. He thought he was playing for the Heat. Enough of that joke, though. Really, just Manu fucked them over. That's case in point. They shouldn't have 2-peated. I sound like a Heat fan. I mean, I sound like a Heat hater right now, except I'm not. I'm just saying, realistically, without Manu, they would have fucking lost in 6. So you can't really say the Heat are almighty Heat. They're amazing, but they're not almighty whenever Dwayne Wade is not healthy. Dwayne Wade's not going to be healthy in this scenario, and I have the Clippers winning in 5 games. Yes, the Clippers winning in 5. Because the only players that are really going to do much are LeBron and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen. Rashard Lewis, no. Possibly Michael Beasley can do like little things. Haslam can do like little things. Shane Batty can do like little things. They all can do little things, but you don't get any players that are going to be able to top notch of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, Jamal Crawford, Matt Barnes, even freaking Matt Barnes. You can even do some things that can fuck him over. Like, just that team is so dominant offensively that just they can top the Heat, and I have them winning in 5. Not 6, not 7, but 5. I'm insane.
Dang.
And I have Chris Paul obviously winning the Finals MVP. If not him, then Blake Griffin.
Were we as crazy as last year? Did we have the Nuggets winning?
No.
I don't think
No.
so. Okay.
That would have been too insane. But, this is a pretty crazy predictions video. I mean, some people may have Clippers as well, but you had a lot more upsets than me, so that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how things go. I cannot wait for the finals. I cannot wait for the playoffs in general. I hope it's going to be something to, actually watch, unlike the freaking season this year if you're an Eastern Conference fan of a team.
Yeah, people are gonna be like, "Oh, so basketball actually did start?" I thought it
I thought it did. I thought it was still on its off season. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, people are gonna think like it was like the NBA lockout.
It's like, oh, really? I thought they were just selling merchandises, and I thought like they're still trying to sell like scam
I
people.
thought it was preseason.
Yeah, I thought league passes for preseason. My bad.
Whoops.
But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the predictions video. Leave your predictions down below, and anything else you want to say before we end it off?
Nope, I'm good. Or the Magic are gonna win next year. Watch.
They're gonna go 82-0. Man, hopefully the Knicks can actually do something and not sign Melo.
Tank
For Jabari if they he's coming, right?
No,
he's coming.
Yeah, he's a player.
So tank for Jaleel. I don't know. Fuck. I hate being a Knicks fan. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and see you later.